Welcome to Just Justin and Eddie.
With just Justin and Eddie.
As we explained last week, we're going in a little bit of a different direction. We're still doing queer talk, but queer talk is going to be when we have queer talks with other people, basically,
Yes.
and
Or if
event.
we want to discuss something that's super queer, we can do it there too.
Yeah,
But this is different. This is us. This is what we've always done, but we've never given ourselves the title that I think it deserves,
right.
which is why it's just Justin and Eddie. Because when we just sit and chat and discuss life, this is what it looks like, even when the camera is not rolling.
I like that. Welcome to Justin and Eddie.
Where we talk about life stuff.
So
Nothing
listen, I
big.
just before we came on here, I was telling you I went to there's casino nearby here. Well, it's
Yes.
an hour and a half drive, and they have shows there and stuff. And Derek Huff is a incredible dancer, performer.
Yeah.
He's one of the judges of Dancing with the Stars, and they had this show called Symphony of Dance, and it was spectacular. So
Wow.
I took my mother to see it, and
For her birthday.
for her birthday, I'm telling you, this woman, I told her, I said, I need to take you out to a park or places where people hang out and so I can meet people. I told it didn't quite sound right. I said, you're like people when they have a dog. They take their dog
I was
out.
literally thinking that.
She said, oh, you're calling me a dog? I said, no, it's just the idea. Because honest to God, we walk and I got a wheelchair for her because it was easier
Oh
to
yeah.
get her around. Uh And I mean, the people like looking and smiling and talking, and we were in this restaurant, had one of the best meals I've ever had. And
Amazing.
this woman sitting on the table beside us at some point, she said, she said, I just have to say, she said, I can't stop staring at you. I just think you're so beautiful. And then she came over and started talking to us. And other people, like the people who were sitting beside the show, like they were talking. I mean,
Oh,
it's unbelievable. And then we met. So we were sitting right near the door,
yeah.
and coming into the front, standing at the front of the door there, I saw when we were sitting there, I saw this guy. Oh my God, that's Robert Hershevek. Do you know who?
Mm. No.
So Robert is one of the what do you call it on Shark Tank? He's
Oh, he's one of the guys.
one of the guys on Shark Tank.
Investors. Yeah.
He started out on Dragon's Den, which is a Canadian show.
Yep.
He was on Dancing with the Stars and actually married the professional that he was dancing with, and
Oh
they
my
have
gosh.
6-year-old twins now. Anyway, I saw him. I said, "Oh my God, Mom, that's Robert from Shark Tank." And she goes, "Oh," she said, "I want to meet him." I said, "Well, I don't think he can get in because he he didn't have a
Yeah.
reservation." And so I got my nerve up, and he was walking down the hall away, and I went up. And I said, "Robert." I said, I'm sorry to bother you. I said, but I'm here with my mom. She's 96. And he said, would you want me to come and meet her? And I said, yeah, that'd be great.
Yes.
Came, said hello. I got a picture with them. And that was like, yeah, it was amazing. So, I mean, it's just so, I mean, I think obviously, I'm very close to my mother and
Yeah.
to be able to, treat her like this and see her light up because who knows how long she's going to be around. So,
I just think it's so beautiful to be still experiencing newness and exciting moments with your mom who's 96. Like after all these years, like it's just amazing and it is life-giving, literally
yeah.
life-giving.
Yeah. I know that there are challenges in families, with parents, with siblings, whatever, but I don't know. I always say that if there's a problem or a challenge, if you can repair it, you should do it.
Yeah.
I
It's
know that
very,
there's just some bad stuff out there, and we
of
don't
course.
choose our families, and there are families who've disowned uh queer people, and that's terrible. That too, I just can't. Just that just doesn't register with me how a parent can do that.
No.
But yeah, I think family is very important.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, what do you think are like, you've watched this woman become 96. Like how did she do it?
Well, and again, on Saturday, a few people have asked that. And, you know, I don't know. I mean, she never smoked,
Yeah.
rarely drinks. Um, you know, stress is a problem, but my mom is like severe worry wart and has been forever. So there is stress there around that. I think a big part of it, well, I was going to say genes, but her mom died at 80. Um, she's been very well looked after by her children, by me and my sisters.
Yeah.
And we take very good care of her, and have for years and years. And I
Yeah.
think that that's a very big part of it. And she's also very careful in living her life and what she eats and how she moves around. And here's the other thing too. She's never exercised a day in her life.
Uh,
So who knows what it is? I mean,
what
you
do you
know,
think she would say?
well, I mean, she did say about not drinking or smoking, and she didn't really even know how to answer it.
Yeah.
I mean, my
She
mom
lived it.
is really, what did my niece once say when we did a video about my mom? She said Oma, which is what is
Mhm.
called in German, is the definition of love. And my mom is all about love and says it and expresses it, and that's how she's lived her life, and you know doesn't get into confrontation, doesn't, you have an amazing relationship with your parents and your siblings.
Yeah. It's I was literally just texting them this morning because we all watched a video that sort of gives the overall recap history lesson around what's going on in the Middle East right now because are we all care what's going on and we want to know more, and certainly I wish we would have been taught these things a long time ago, but the video was very thorough and gave a good description of it all. So we were just discussing that, and after that discussion I was just like, wow, we are really lucky we as the five of us can like actually just calmly have this conversation about something that's, I'm sure causing a lot more stress for a lot of families and relatives and just friendships right now because it feels very like during COVID when it was vaccine or no vaccine. Like it just feels, and it obviously even worse because it's something with a lot more history attached to it of which side you feel is justified. And all that to say, why are we that way as a group of five? I've always said part of it is because none of us have until really recently had like all long-term partnerships at the same time. There's never been a big influential outside energy in the group of five of us. And now we're all in our 30s and our parents are in their 60s, and so like we're just full grown adults now, and I wonder if that's partly why, to the same reason that you have the relationship that you do with your mother, like because you haven't had a lot of external forces. I certainly have at times been like, wow, none of us have, I mean, there have been partners along the way, but like no long term, like, life, married, kids, all that shit. And yet now I'm like, wow, I really wouldn't change this because I'm very grateful.
You brought up, what's happening over in the Middle East, and I just think, there probably are families like you guys,
Mm,
who are very close. And I can't even watch it anymore. I mean, the other day there was this he was a press guy.
mm,
I don't know if he worked for CNN or who he worked for, but a press guy. And he lost his wife, his mother-in-law, his kids. He lost them all.
yeah,
And the next day he was back reporting because he said, I have to do this.
right.
And I mean, whole families are being wiped out, or just, one is left. And I can't to me, there's no justification. I don't know what you learned from watching this video, and I tried to do a little bit of research because, like, okay, so what the hell's going on here? What is the problem between Palestine and Israel? And I did read a little bit about it, and this has been going on forever.
I'll send you this video because it tells it to you with a map visually explaining since World War II what has really happened in the area and why it is the way it is, why tensions grew at different times, why we've heard things over the years. Like it's not like there's been no like there's been things that have happened, nothing to this level, but it basically outlines the fact that this was a fire that needed one spark to just explode because of all the unrest for the last 50, 60 years since World War II. So it doesn't really give you a side to pick. It just, for me, it was helpful because it outlines just the timeline of things. I just really did not understand just what is Palestine, Gaza, the West Bank, Israel, like the Jewish people, the separation of the two, the Hamas, there's the Palestinian Authority, there's other entities that I didn't even know of that have existed and been taken down. The fact that the UN created the state of Israel after World War II and why that was given to the UN, why there wasn't more peace negotiations and strategy for the area. Yeah, it's really complicated, but what isn't complicated is the death.
There's no I don't care. There's no justification for that kind of killing for apparently there are videos that Israel has of how they killed these kids and like just beheading and all this stuff and video and live streamed it, and it's like, I mean, there's no I don't care how bad you've been persecuted. I just don't get, and maybe I'm being very naive, and I think that there's been attempts over the years on, well, I know there's been attempts, but
Mhm.
like that you can't work this out. Like you can't sit down and negotiate. And again, I'll see that video that you're going to send, but
Yeah.
to me, like I'm sure it's not just as simple as making it a two-state thing, which is like what's the big deal? Why not? I think there's also there's just stuff about the terrorism and the terrorists, whatever. But to me, it's just, but in this, isn't it? Does the video talk about this two-state thing, and that's been
Yeah,
the issue for all these years, right?
it discusses the ups and downs, the reasons it didn't like hold or wasn't fully like it's clear that what's very clear is that after World War II, the UN was created as a way to say we are never doing this again. That was kind of the background behind why the UN, this global entity, to like sort of decree that this world cannot do another world war. There's already been two, we can't do another one. So we are committing, the UN is a commitment to that. But over the years, that has been slowly eroded by the power of the Western democracy and its attempt to be this beacon of hope for the world. But I think when you take that into countries that aren't necessarily ready for that or are still working out their own individual like chaos of just the way the countries have been run, I think it starts to end up feeling very like, oh, they think they know how to do that. Like they don't trust this energy coming into their country and saying, this is going to be the way we do it because this is civilized. This is going to be the answer. And so when these states were created, yes, on paper, that looks like the answer that makes the most sense, I guess, at the time, in the 50s. But over time, I think there's been a lack of who's responsible here. Who's really responsible for the changes or the lack of care? Because like how has Gaza and the Gaza Strip existed like this for so long? Like even under its last like open air prison ideal, like for 16 years that's been going on.
Yeah.
And yet what is the international community really supposed to do? Because I feel like there isn't, yes, we have the UN, but it doesn't feel like it has a lot of power.
Well, no, because they're in words, they're trying to stop this, and they're not going to stop it. You
And
know,
at the end of the day, people are still countries. I all like US, Russia, China, the big players are still it always comes back to we have nuclear power. So don't fuck with us.
yeah, they're going to do what
But
they
then
want.
how do we decide when is the right time for a powerhouse like the US, who's doubled down on their support for Israel as a country? Certainly not how everybody feels when you're in the country, but definitely the government is saying we are for Israel, period. Stop. But at what degree is it now our responsibility when we're like, hey, whoa, 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 that's looking a little, what are you doing there? Is that allowed? Is it our responsibility then as the Western nations, as like these democracies to be like, you can't do that, but then are we going to start another world war? Because that I think that's the slippery slope that we're on.
I used to say that, and I still think a lot of these conflicts are because of religion,
Yes.
but it's a lot more than that too. It's about power, and it's about these. And when you said the power of democracy, I actually think it's the opposite. I think it's the power of dictatorship. You know,
Yes, they're trying to hold on to dictatorship.
right? Which is what Putin's doing, and which Trump is like that. So switching gears a little bit, speaking of America,
Mhm.
as you and I mean, you live there, and but us as Canadians,
Yeah.
I mean, it just keeps getting better with
Better and worse at
with
the same time, depending
well,
on which side you're on.
I don't know which. Well, I guess if you're a Republican, it's getting better. If you're a Trump lover, it's getting better. But that's 40 whatever percent of the country. I mean, with this
But I don't think better it's maybe better in what it looks like because they have a speaker who's literally a crazy Christian. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to Christians. I grew up as a Christian, but this is a person who truly is not for anything that America stands for now, like in terms of its liberal.
so go back. What is better? I don't know what is better. You said
Well, I think it's all going to lead to the destruction of the Republican Party. It just there's they see it as this like, oh, we've got like this is where we're headed, but there is no reality in which all of those Republicans actually believe what the fringe of the Republican Party believes. Whether they're going to stick with them in 2024, that's still up for debate. But I do think that all of Trump's criminal cases and all the trials that are going on, I mean, hopefully he goes to jail, even for just a little bit, would be great. But it's that what they're going to attempt to pass or block in the House over the next months is going to, I think, help Democrats come election time.
honestly, if it hasn't changed by now, I can't see the only way I can see it changing. And even then, I think it's going to be an advantage to him if he ends up in jail. He'll still run for president.
Oh yes, he still
You know,
will.
if the Republican conservatives and the ones that sort of maybe have some I don't know what the word is, common sense or whatever,
Yeah,
none of them are speaking out. And this Trump has so much power that if anybody speaks out against him, they're done.
yeah,
And he has so much control and so much power. Like his I was watching whatever I was watching this morning, and I mean his rating hasn't changed. He's
yeah.
still way ahead of DeSantis and Haley, who are the next two. And so it doesn't
He'll be the
matter.
nominee.
Pardon?
He will be the nominee.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. Even if he gets indicted, I mean, I don't think, especially if he, continues to run, they're not going to put him in jail.
No.
I mean, the civil war that would break out would be,
Well, I
of
think, and part of me thinks that that's why he's egging these judges on
course.
to if they do put him in jail, he's hoping and banking on the fact that he will have his supporters be enraged. But to me, it's about the central voters, the center of the middle, the centrist voters, that none of this is helping them put more faith in Donald Trump for another 4 years. Now, what's interesting about this moment is that they also don't approve of Biden. So you're going to have an election where I think everybody's going to be like, you have to vote for Biden. And then people are going to be like, I don't even want to vote. I hate both of them. And then we're going to see what happens.
This is going to be an interesting choice for them. Someone who they feel is too old to someone who, who just totally fucks up the country. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
I
I
don't.
think
I wish there was another choice on both ends. I wish it was Nikki Haley on the Republican side, and I wish it was somebody younger, dynamic. Like when Obama first ran, someone like him. And like I just
but I think this is part of why after 2024, both parties are going to have an opportunity to like just reset to a younger age and knowing that like guys, this is getting too old. There should be an age cap on this position. Like any of these jobs, Supreme Court, senators, like if you're almost rolling into the court, like okay, it's time to go. Let somebody else who is ready for this responsibility is and yeah,
I
it's
agree.
time.
I agree, but
But those things don't change. In America, it's like, electoral college. What the fuck is that anymore? But it's still there. It's not going to move.
I think where it might change in 20 years from now, but I think in the next at least 10, 15 years, it's going to stay the same.
Absolutely.
I wish I could be more positive and, I mean, I'm teaching a meditation class tonight and it's on that the theme is love and about, you know, I'm trying to figure out like something positive to say and what we can do, but I'm just so disillusioned and discouraged and just so saddened by what's going on over there. And I mean those people over there are no different than us.
One of the things that I just thought of that I don't know what it's if it's how we get through this, but with our world, the way we can watch news 24/7, there's just so much information. We know so much more quickly than we ever have because we can almost feel like we're there because we can watch the footage of that's what movies do to us. It immerses us into an experience where our body is almost like, oh my God, it's like you're there. And I do think that this is going to cause a different level of stress and anxiety and depression that we're going to have to learn how to deal with as a society, because with all this inundated information, it becomes a lot for in each individual to learn how to take it in and filter out, like how to not be depressed. Like your energy, even as you just described all of that, it's just like it's so heavy. And that's not actually our lived experience in this moment right now with our own body right where we are. So we have to be able to go, I think, when we're in this big macro, like it's the world, it's like all the things that are happening in the world. And that's depressing right now. But we have to be able to come back down to the micro, which is your personal experience, like your day. It's affected by the macro for sure. But if you can come back to yourself in a way that's like, as you just alluded to, what you're going to be the focus of your meditation tonight is love, like to love yourself, to love your life, be grateful for your life. There has to be some time for that too in this whole crazy world that we're living in, because if we just stay in the macro, it becomes too much. So how do we come back to the micro? I think that's like how you can only know for yourself.
It's very hard to do that because I feel so helpless,
Yeah.
and I feel like I don't have the sort of the right to live. I mean, I have a pretty good life, and I feel like I feel guilty. I feel that I have this life, and these kids are being slaughtered. I mean, it's just I don't know. It's like, to me, the solution is about, getting the right people in charge and getting and it's like, and I know they're trying to do this, but I'm talking about in any situation. I'm gonna bring up one in the US. Like, there is a it may not be a complete solution, but there is a partial solution to these everyday mass murders in the US. Get rid of the fucking guns.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. So what is the difference? The difference is the guns, but that's not going to happen. And that's what I'm saying is so depressing and so sad and so, like, I don't know. I just think there is a solution, but I'm just feeling very negative about that solution ever happening.
Yeah. I think there's like this, it doesn't feel realistic anymore because there's just been so much of it. And you could say that about almost any issue that we've discussed today. It's like so ongoing and nothing seems to work.
Yeah.
There seems to be some very obvious answers, but nobody's willing, not both sides or not whatever entities are arguing, they're just not able to come to that obvious conclusion. And that seems to be the most depressing part about it for me, is that what gets caught in the middle is all these people who don't care at all about all this shit. They just want to live peaceful lives.
I don't want to put the blame all on him, but I think the tide turned, the energy turned, the world started changing when Trump got into power.
1000%.
I don't I know this stuff has been going on for years, but nothing like it is now.
He
And
opened Pandora's box.
exactly. Exactly.
It's okay for us to be like negative and like depressed about this. This is depressing and negative and shitty. That's how a lot of people are feeling right now.
Mhm.
There seems to be simple answers and there's no path to them.
That's a very good point. Well, this was a
Just Justin and Eddie.
yeah, boy, just
But this is
depressed.
what we grapple with
Yeah.
when we chat.
I just think things are going to get worse before they get better. And because this is the prevailing thing now with this, what Trump started is just growing and growing and growing. And I think there has to be, I mean, we think it's bad with what, Hamas did, but I think there's still worse to come before people, like, really wake up
Yeah.
and say enough, and we'll see what happens with this next election. And I mean, it'd be amazing if the Democrats controlled all, but they're saying now that the Senate's probably going to go to the Republicans,
Yeah.
and so, I mean, I just can't imagine if the Republicans had everything. Like, what the hell? Like, that's what I'm saying. Things, and not just over there. It's not over there anymore. It's happening here. It's happening in, you know,
But then and I'm not trying to divert away from this completely, but it's interesting that at the same time that that is happening, in Winnipeg, they just elected the first Indigenous premier of Manitoba.
yeah.
That's never happened before. So
I think there are certain countries who you can put outside of all this.
yeah,
Canada is one of them.
yeah.
I'm sure.
Somehow they've stayed exempt from this, which is interesting because the vaccine and COVID brought Canada the closest I've seen to this sort of polarization, but that has sort of subsided. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it has, but there's no we just since, I mean, I've been around a long time. And even before that, like, it's just not. It's not how, and it's not how. I mean, Canadians just didn't become nice people because they were born nice people.
No.
It's this all comes down from the top. This is all how the country is run and what, and that's what's happening in other places, the bad things, because it's all coming from the top. These people who are in power. And now I'm sure there's other countries like Canada. I can't think of any right now, like maybe Sweden and,
Yeah,
the
for sure
Norwegian,
there's other countries that are similar.
Norwegian countries, Switzerland,
Yeah.
So there are, you know, normal
Yeah.
countries out there, but it's the real. I think Canada's not that powerful, but it's the powerful ones like the US and Russia and China, you know, and maybe the Middle East as a whole. Like,
And what's connected to all of that is that in those countries that still hold the dominant power, it's because they have physical power. Like they literally, via guns, explosions, and all that
right.
stuff, that's what gives them their power. And it's like, how long is that going to be used as a meter to measure, a country's power? Because Canada, as an example, is this nation that has figured out how to do it a little more peacefully. But part of that is because we don't got guns.
Exactly.
So there's not this like energy behind someone's emotions. We don't have, and yes, that doesn't mean like shitty things have happened in Canada. Certainly we have a past that is still being reconciled with our indigenous relationships in the country. But because we don't have guns, it's just like the emotions are never as heightened as here, for example, where like the confrontation is avoided because somebody might have a gun.
I mean, I think this is the first talk that we've had where I have been so deflated, or not deflated,
Yeah.
but like negative, to like saddened, like so like where,
Yeah.
it's not like might as well just give up, and I don't like being like
Yeah.
that. But I also like to, like, what can we say for, to other people who are feeling like I feel?
Yeah. I think it's important to acknowledge that when you're in, and again, I don't even know if this will resonate with anybody who's listening, just because if you're in a state of like, ugh, what's the point? Like, it's just so depressing. All of this is depressing. It's really hard to hear somebody who's like, just stay positive.
Yeah,
Like that just becomes annoying. You're just like, fuck you. It's depressing me. So I think the first is just acknowledging if that's the way you feel, like that's the way you feel. And that is valid because the world is just wild right now. It's the wild, wild west. It's insane.
yeah.
And if there's windows along the way of those feelings where you can tell, like you could lean into, like I alluded to before, something a little more in your personal life that's not as related to the big picture, like what for you in your life is going on that brings you some joy, or God, find a way to laugh at something. And for me, I can tell there's times when I need to take a break from the news or a break from social media, which these seem like obvious examples, but half the time we need to vocalize these things because you almost forget when you're in that depressed state, like what are the options even? And yet you can't reach people that don't want to be reached necessarily. Like they're gonna have to there's gonna have to be a tipping point at which they themselves have had enough of the energy that need a break from it and will find a new way. I mean, but this, even you and I discussing these things, like, is a part of breaking energy because we're in different energetic modes about this right now, but we can still have a chat about it. I'm not trying to convince you of anything.
No, but I would like to add to that I think that to perhaps step back a little bit from the bigger picture
Yeah,
and focus more on you and your life and what you can do
yeah,
to feel better about yourself and your life, and maybe make a difference with that and the people around you, because there's enough people around us that are lacking, um love and acknowledgement and attention. And
Mhm.
perhaps if you can just like, reach out to somebody and have a conversation, or you know hug your friends and your family, and express love in whatever way you can. We need to um
Foster, like,
foster. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And it just starts with, like, I've always said this, like, uh, somebody who's having a shitty day, and maybe there's something that you can do, maybe just to listen, maybe just to, like, to reach out in some way. I
yeah,
mean, that's something that we can do, like you said, in this crazy world. And we maybe can't affect the bigger picture,
yeah,
but you know this little bit of energy that we can put out there, you know in time, maybe that can just, and if people pass that on, and it can
yeah.
grow and grow and grow. And I mean, I think that's all we can do.
You've
So
really touched on something that I kind of want to use as a way to close this, is that it's really, I think, more powerful. We're learning to create safe spaces for people to just exist however they're feeling, rather than trying to convince someone to be in a more positive, or whatever word you want to use to insert, like, happiness. It's like, if we can give each other more space to just exist around each other how we're actually feeling, rather than trying to pretend we're feeling better about something that we aren't yet. I think that's a powerful way to like love each other. Like,
yeah,
I love you in this space and want to give you the space to feel however you're feeling about this.
allow yourself to feel, and allow other people
Yes.
to feel how you feel. But also, it's important to know, for people to know that there are people around them who care,
Yeah.
and that will support them. And I mean, I've had, friends who say, I'm having a shitty day, or this is how much time. I said, okay, just allow that to happen,
Yeah.
feel it, and it will change.
Yeah.
It will change. And I think that's what we can do. We may not be able to make a difference in the people who are in Palestine and Israel, but we can make a difference with the people who are around us.
Absolutely.
And as you always say, it starts with us. It starts with ourselves.
Yeah.
We're
That's
up.
it. That's the nugget right there. It
Yeah.
it it has to come back to you.
Yeah. Oof.
Woo, girl.
That was a heavy one.
Was, but it was needed. I have been feeling in our last two conversations that we were always on the precipice of having this discussion, and we didn't really know how we were going to have it because it's so nuanced and complicated, but it happened exactly the way it was supposed to.
I think this is important for people to know that I sort of started out like feeling helpless, like what can we do? But there is something that we can do. We can do something, for the world around
Physical, yeah,
us,
the world right around you. Yeah,
So,
your little bubble.
and as you said in the last episode, and then I added to it, you said just be kind.
Yeah.
And if there was more kindness and more love, I just don't see how this stuff can be happening. But again, that's getting back in it. We don't know what the history is, and what's been going on all these years, but it's got to start somewhere. Like, you have to, like, say, okay, enough is enough.
Hmm.
Let's try kindness. Let's try love. Let's try talking about this.
Yeah.
And if you want a little pick me up, and I was going to mention this before, I don't think I think you probably remembered I was going, but I haven't talked to you since I went.
Yeah.
Go see Barbie.
Yes.
I went to see it. Oh my God, what a silly movie, but boy, what a like a deep
Oh yeah.
lesson kind of movie. It's like, holy,
Many layers to that story.
yeah.
Well, that was the first episode.
And it's too bad we can't really talk about Halloween because Halloween will be over when this comes out. So
Yeah, but I hope you all had a great Halloween. And the holiday season, I'm sure, has already started in all your stores. So if you haven't started your holiday season already, I encourage you to listen to Cher's new Christmas album as a way to get into the spirit, because that bitch did it again, everyone. She did it
did you
again.
listen? Did you listen?
Yes, it's fabulous. It's the album we all need. It's so Cher and yet so Christmas. Honestly, I'm so here for it. I'll put a link in the description. I'll also put the link of the video that I referenced to about what's going on in the Middle East in our description, as if you guys want to watch something that's, I think, a good description of it all, because I certainly wish I would have had that history lesson in actual history class when I was in school, but
Yeah.
that was
I think it's important because, like I said before, like most of us don't know, like, why is this happening and what's going
exactly.
on. So
Yeah.
I think it's good to educate ourselves. So anyway,
All right.
until the next time,
Signing off.
over and out. Love you. See you
Love
next.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Recording in progress. My ass.
Oh, Jesus.
So I had to get it out before we really go in here.